The MacBook, unique New York. Unique New York.
What's up, passionate DJs? Now, in today's video, we're talking about some news and industry updates. Now, this was originally posted in episode 227 of the Passionate DJ podcast, which now exists on its own channel. So please be sure to click the link below to visit the new podcast channel and give it a follow so that we can get a bit of momentum going. Now, before we move on, I want to just make sure that you check out my latest review of the Play Differently Model 1 and a Model 1.4 mixers. And you can also find a link to that in the description below. The Model 1 and 1.4 by Play Differently are fully analog DJ mixers, which seek to change your overall approach to mixing, and they're definitely very unique pieces, so I highly recommend that you go ahead and check out that video. So with that, let's get on to Modingo with some industry news about Spotify and some advice for buying DJ laptops.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Modingo, and I am here to bring you some passionate DJ news. DJ Ski Mask removes entire catalog from Spotify. I'm done. All my shit is gone from Spotify, said Brian Mueller, otherwise known as Ski Mask, in early January. His main point of contention is the rate of compensation for musicians who have their tracks streaming on the Spotify catalog. My music will be available again as soon as that company starts being honest and respectful to the world of music makers. With the exception of a few compilations and some remixes, his entire catalog is no longer available on that platform. And that was just the beginning of a rough month for Spotify. Comedian, actor, MMA announcer, and podcaster Joe Rogan has come under fire recently for content on his show, The Joe Rogan Experience. Now, The Joe Rogan Experience is exclusively streamed on Spotify, and the bulk of the recent backlash revolves around his views on coronavirus and the guests which he's had on the show regarding the subject. In the past, he's drawn fire for his takes on multiple topics ranging anywhere from global warming to his views on the LGBTQA+ community. Musicians such as David Crosby, Stephen Stills, Graham Nash, Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, and India Arie had their entire respective catalogs removed from the platform in protest against Joe Rogan. Even more recently, Rogan has drawn massive criticism for his use of racial slurs in approximately 70 episodes of his podcast, which have since been removed from Spotify. Rogan released an apology video on his personal social media accounts this past week, speaking to his actions. Time will only tell how this will play out. And to round out this episode's news segment, let's talk about something that doesn't spark any controversy among DJs at all: laptops. Because of their flexibility, most of us choose to incorporate a laptop to meet our computer needs. Nowadays, it's much easier to find a super powerful laptop that can match the strength of comparable desktops. Lucky for us, Music Radar put together a list of the best DJ laptops for 2022. The assumption is the DJ is going to be using Serato, Traktor, or Rekordbox. Has a minimum of 8 GB of RAM. Looking at that portability factor, definitely battery life, and an onboard solid-state hard drive. Now, some things to note. The prices are approximate as of the time of this recording and may be vastly different by the time you listen to this podcast. Coming in at number 5 is the Asus VaioBook S, starting at $650 US. It's ultra slim and portable at 3.9 pounds. It's got decent power for the money and a good selection of ports. However, it's not really up to some of those advanced creative tasks. Number 4, the 2021 14-inch MacBook Pro, starting at $2,000 US. Hugely powerful, loads of potential storage space. Downside is it's heavy and maybe a little bit of overkill if you're strictly DJing. Because of the processing power, this option may be better suited for those DJ producers out there. Number 3 is the 2021 Dell XPS 13-inch OLED, coming in at $2,000 US. It rivals the pre-M1 MacBook Pros and is more than enough for DJs, but it does lack some ports, and again, maybe overkill if you're strictly DJing. This laptop has more than enough power to DJ with the 11th generation Intel Core i5 and 8 GB of RAM. On the downside, it only has 2 USB-C ports, but that can be fixed if you get an adapter or a dongle. but I'm sure that OLED screens makes for a pleasurable experience in a dark nightclub. Number 2, the Acer Swift 3, starting at $700 US. It packs a lot of power for its price. It's got a good mix of ports, but the display is a little bit average. Now, it's often referred to as an alternative to the pre-M1 MacBook Airs. It's slim, it's light, and it's highly portable. And last but not least, number 1 is the 2020 13-inch M1 MacBook Air, coming in at $1,000. Super lightweight and portable, and sports that M1 chip, but it doesn't have a lot of ports and it does not have a fan. The M1 Air hits the sweet spot with power, reliability, flexibility, and lightweight. Now, the MacBook Pro line is much more powerful, but it comes with a hit in the wallet as well as an increase in weight. The base model for the Air comes with 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of solid-state storage. Even the 18-hour battery life just can't make up for the limited number of ports on this model. It's got 2 USB-C ports, but one of them has to be used for power. The other one you're going to need to connect to your controller with an additional cable, so you're going to have to probably go for a dongle in order to maximize your experience. Something else to consider because of the lack of external ports is you might want to increase that solid-state drive because you might not be able to hook up an external drive. Now, hold on, before you stop dropping all the hate in the comment section, I didn't make this list. This list was compiled by Music Radar, but I did add a couple of things to consider when sourcing a new laptop. Consider buying an older model. I bought my 2015 MacBook Pro when the 16 models had already been released. I like the fact it just had the HDMI ports and the SD card reader, and since it was an older model, I saved a couple $100 as well. Until the newest version of the MacBook Pro dropped, it was a popularly sought after model in the used market because of the number of ports that it had. Was it more expensive than a Windows computer? Absolutely. But I've been using it faithfully for close to a decade to DJ, edit photos and videos, and I've had great success. Even when I finally decide to replace it, it'll still serve well as a good web browser and just daily use laptop. Another option is to buy used. Now, provided you're buying from a reputable source, buying a used device is an extremely viable option. Co-host Trip Turlington and friend of the show B-Funk have both had positive experiences buying from the used marketplace. If you don't have the need for or the budget to buy the latest and greatest, buying used can help you address any technological barriers you may have with your current laptop, and it may save you some cash as well. In my photography endeavors, I've pretty much bought nearly all my kit used, with the exception of one lens, and I've still been able to crank out banging footage for Dave, for the Passionate DJ podcast, as well as our preferred partner, the DJ Hookup. No shame in buying used gear at all. And lastly, I know there's a massive Mac versus PC debate in the DJ space, but regardless of what camp you lean towards, what I can say is that the brand of laptop you purchase has little to no impact on your ability to DJ. It's merely a tool, what we utilize to share moments with the crowd. One will not make you better or worse. The cost will not help you get top billing at a show, and neither will accelerate your record deal. Putting in the practice, supporting your local scene, putting your mixtapes out there, and doing the work is what's going to make you a better DJ with passion and purpose. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Be sure to leave us some comments and suggestions on the new format and tell us what other segments you'd like to see on your show. As always, I love you guys. Wash your damn hands. Keep on spinning. I'm Mo and I'm out. The MacBook Pro line also has more ports than its MacBook Air cousin, boasting 3 Thunderbolt ports. Jesus. The MacBook Unique New York. Boasting 3 Thunderbolt ports, or USB. The MacBook. Now it's often referred to as an adult, and it comes with 4 USB-C ports, 2 USB ports, and an HDMI. The M1 Air really hits the sweet spot with power. The MacBook Pro line is much more powerful than the Air series, but it comes with a hit in the wall. The MacBook Pro line the MacBook Pro line is much more powerful than its Air cousins. Co-host Trip Hurlington